All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Excuse Me Brother podcast show. I'm your host, Brother Jay, and with me tonight, I got my co-host, producer. Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's just us two J's.
Yeah, it's the two J's tonight, man. Brother Tay out here leaving us high and dry. Whatnot.
He's in North Carolina. Cut him some slack.
No. He never cuts me any slack. No, I'm not cutting him nothing. No.
All right. If that's what you choose to do.
Fuck you, Tay. How you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing all right. I had a rough day at work, honestly. But now that I'm home, I got the weekend off. WrestleMania weekend. So
yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Got a nice haircut and all that. I see.
Got
What are you getting fly for?
I can't really look good. Like
you shaved the. Why?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
No. I asked first. Why?
Because when I get a haircut, they do it all for me. I guess I don't know.
I mean, you just. Maybe it's because
no, not for nothing. Like when it gets like bushy and stuff like that, it's harder to maintain. At least for me. I used to. You remember how I used to look when I had that like freaking Kratos beard?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It took a lot to maintain that, and I probably should have trimmed it, which I didn't. I just let it grow.
Yeah, bro, trim it. Don't completely cut it off. Just. Come on, man.
It's getting warmer, so it really doesn't matter.
Listen, I can't be the only one who has a beard on this show.
I still have a beard. It's not gone. It's just lighter.
You can't have less facial hair than Tay. All right. You have to have more than him.
I think I still have more than him.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you sure?
I believe I have more than Tay. Yes.
Definitely the mustache, definitely. And the little soul patch. But everything else? You look like a 70s porn star.
Mad rando. 70s porn star?
Just a little bit. It's the mustache.
You know, I think there is a 70s porn star named Ron Jeremy, so.
Oh, yeah. See if there's any kind of relation. Oh, that's terrible.
I hope not.
You said it's WrestleMania weekend. You got any? How do you feel about the 2-day thing? Like the two?
Honestly, I think it's a lot easier to digest. Just because before, I mean, we went to one WrestleMania. We went together, but we weren't together. It's weird.
We're together but separate. Yes.
Yeah. So, that show was long. Like I was almost falling asleep like halfway through, and it's like the matches are good. It's just like you're there from like 2:00, 3:00, all the way until midnight, past midnight. That's a lot to ask. So,
and the thing is, it's funny because this show went 2 hours past it was supposed to.
Yes,
right?
It did. Or maybe not 2 hours. Maybe it was like an hour. But still, it went past long a long time before. Or what am I saying? It went past when it was supposed to end.
Right.
But yeah, so that seems to be a trend for wrestling shows, especially WrestleMania. So, I like the 2-day thing because it allows more breathing room, shorter shows. The only thing I don't like is they don't tell you what matches are on which day up until like the week of. So it's like, what if I want to watch one match, but it's on the day that I bought, the wrong day that I bought? You know what I mean?
See, that's the money grab because they want you to buy tickets for both days.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they want you to do.
It's the cash grab, bro. Vince McMahon's a genius. He's a genius.
You're not wrong in that respect.
It's a marketing
and
genius.
At least when it comes to marketing, yeah, what you just said.
Well, you know, he Vince, he be wilding sometimes with the ideas, the creative ideas that he's come up with over the years, enough that WWE, then the WWF, got in some serious trouble.
Yes, they did.
You know what I
Very
mean?
serious trouble.
And like to this day, I think there's still some.
Just last year he was well, he wasn't charged with anything, but he was accused of like sexual harassment and coercion and
Hush money.
hush money. Yeah, so it's a lot.
I mean, I believe it because Vince is proven to be like a pervert.
Yeah, especially with the stuff that he did on TV, like himself. Not even just the stuff that he wrote for like other people, like himself was in a lot of like really
crazy
shitty things. Yeah,
some really crazy storylines, like the one with like he constantly cheating on Linda with
Trish.
Right. Wasn't there like a segment where she was like bound to a wheelchair and they like made out on stage in front of her?
Yes, there was.
Yo, I was like, yo, kayfabe or not, that's crazy.
It really is. Like the fact that he got her to do that, but that was how it was back then. It was just like, gotta do what you gotta do to get or to help the business or whatever. I don't know how they spun it.
There was a storyline where he was supposed to like get Stephanie pregnant or something like that.
Yes, no. So with that, he pitched it, and Stephanie was just like, nah.
No.
She said a lot. She said yes to a lot of things, but that was like, absolutely not.
I'm surprised she said yes to that I Quit match in 2003, where he basically choked out with a pipe. Remember that one?
Oh, yes.
I was surprised she said yes to that. Like,
I feel like if it didn't like degrade her, I feel like it was fine with her. But I mean, she did a lot of degrading stuff.
They all did. A lot
they
of
all
stuff.
Did. Yeah, that was.
Listen, WWE back in the day was wild.
It was wild. Yeah.
Enough. It was wild enough that if they tried that today, yo, they'd get canceled.
Yeah, they would get canceled. They would 100% not be on the air.
Hashtag segues.
You know, you're the king of them.
I tried. I listened. I was trying to bob and weave.
No, I saw where you were going. I went along with you on this ride.
Thank you. Because, boy, I tell you, cancel culture is.
Yeah, it's speaking of wild.
Let's look up cancel culture real fast, shall we? To the internet. Cancel culture. I should have had this up prepared already, but it just popped in my head. Oh, there's an actual definition for it. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I guess it's become so prevalent that it probably does need a definition, because people don't know. It's one of those things that keeps getting like spewed out by like social media and stuff like that, so people need to know what it is, even though people misuse it.
You got a point. It says that cancel culture is a phenomenon in which those who are deemed to have acted or spoken in an unacceptable manner are ostracized, boycotted, or shunned. This shunning may extend to social or professional circles, whether on social media or in person, with the most high-profile incidents involving celebrities. Sounds about right?
Yeah, that's it to a T. That's why like a lot of people kept. Oh, what was it? It was Chris Rock in his special. He even said it like, "Oh, I'm about to get canceled today" or something like that, right? I feel like he said something like that.
He may have been, yeah.
Well, how do I feel about cancel culture? So I'm of two minds, because on the one hand, there have been instances where it has been used for positive things, whereas like, so let's say somebody did something really terrible, like, or Ezra Miller. Do you know who Ezra Miller is?
The Flash.
Yes, the Flash. That whole situation was just like insane.
What exactly did he do again? Or
So they,
yeah,
that's a whole nother can of worms.
uh,
I just say Ezra, honestly. But
so what the motherfucker do?
so I think he coerced this person or this woman into like staying with him and basically abused her to the point where she like developed like Stockholm syndrome or something like that, was actually defending him in some points, and he kidnapped her away from her parents to, and it was like posting on social media about it, not like saying, oh, I kidnapped her, but like showing off that she's with me. And there's a lot more to it. I didn't really dive too deep into it, but that's kind of the gist of it. And that's in addition to all the outbursts he's had. He's had like public fights, and he's like destroyed property and like restaurants and stuff like that. So
Really?
yeah, it's been a wild ride for Ezra, and the fact that they're still releasing that movie, The Flash, is kind of amazing, to say the least.
Too much money. Like,
I mean, you also have Michael Keaton in it. You don't just throw away that kind of money.
and I was about to say Bruce Wayne. Good Lord.
He is Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck.
Well, thank you. The other dude with a B in his name.
Right.
The other Batman, the worst Batman.
We won't get into that.
But so you feel that there are times when cancel culture is warranted.
Right. However, there are also times where I feel like it can be very destructive.
Uh-huh.
So, the whole thing, the reason why we chose this episode, well, I kind of chose it, is because of the whole Jonathan Majors situation. I don't know, have you read up about that? So, I'll just break it down for everybody listening. So on Saturday, around like 11 a.m., there was an arrest from, well, it was in New York, right? It was in
Manhattan, yeah.
So there was an arrest of one Jonathan Majors, and he was charged with assault. And it was coming from his girlfriend that he had assaulted her. And it was like in a taxi cab or something like that. It was in a public area, and they arrested him, and everybody just went wild with their presumptions and just assumption. I don't mean to rhyme, but they just went off, assuming the worst, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I'm always of the opinion we should have all the evidence before we make a judgment call. Like, for example, with the whole what's his name, Justin Roiland situation. There was evidence to show that he was doing not so good things, to put it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we'll probably get to him later about that whole situation, how that turned out. But there was enough evidence, at least from my perspective, to kind of make a judgment call about him, his career, like what people who associate with him should do.
Uh-huh.
But in this situation, all we had was the headline, Jonathan Majors arrested for assault.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. That was literally it.
That was it. And eventually things came out to kind of paint the picture of what happened. And his lawyer basically said that he's innocent. Didn't happen the way you think it did. He's innocent. And I took that as, okay, so let's see. Let's see how this plays out. But that didn't stop people from being like, oh, he's an abuser. He's he's toxic. There was also people who apparently were talking about this in like February, right as he was blowing up. But I think he just, or maybe it was like right before Ant-Man came out. I think
Creed 3.
Creed 3 just came out, so he was already like in the spotlight. And there was people saying like, oh, there's an up and coming actor who's getting a lot of notoriety. You better watch out because he's abusive, he's manipulative, all that stuff. And they didn't say who it was, but eventually they came out and said, yeah, it was about Jonathan Majors. So that kind of like set the tone of how people were going to react to this.
Right.
And that being said, people were just ready to assume that he's the worst of the worst. Without knowing what happened, without knowing the fact that he's the one who actually called the cops. He's the one who called the cops because she was having like a manic episode. I guess she deals with that. There's not too much details on that part. But yeah, he called the cops and they arrested him when they arrived on this. Because apparently, according to his lawyer, they had to make an arrest.
Yeah, and at least in New York, when, you get a domestic violence call, somebody's walking away in cuffs. Somebody. If not both of y'all, it's one of y'all, at least. Depending on how many people are involved.
I didn't know that. I thought that if there's no charges pressed, then it can be just dropped. It was just like a civil dispute or whatever.
Well, charges usually come later. Once they find out like the whole story, then if the person wants to press charges, like if I call the cops on you, you get arrested, you get taken down to the precinct, I follow you to the precinct, and I want to formally press charges on you, that's usually how it happens. But the arrest comes first. You don't get charged right away.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's something I actually learned in jury duty.
Ah, look at that. It all comes full circle.
But yeah, it was, it was insulting to me because it was like, I was of the same mind. I was like, okay, we've seen situations like this play out before where someone gets accused of usually a black guy.
Sadly.
Usually the black guy gets accused of something and everyone's quick to rush to judgment about it. And most particularly on Twitter. This is why I hate Twitter with a passion.
Yes. Yeah, that is an understatement because I go on Twitter just to kind of like, so Twitter does have a benefit of being on top of things very quickly and very like up to date. So like whenever there's like news, I usually go to Twitter first to see like what people are saying about it to try and like be most up to date on stuff. Because I guess news outlets choose to post to Twitter first before anything. But as you said, it can be like a freaking cesspool of just negativity and just hate and toxicity and every other word you want to throw in there. It can be very vile. And you have to know how to like navigate that.
And Twitter is usually like the vanguards of cancel culture.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they talk so much negativity on Twitter that you would swear that these people have no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
It astounds me because like I even got into it with a few people. I didn't even take a stance. I was kind of like in the middle about this whole Jonathan Majors situation. I was like, okay, if he's innocent, then we should probably wait for all the evidence to come out before we make a rash judgment that could affect his entire career.
His entire life.
His life, it's just starting. I think it's fair to wait until everything is clear and not make assumptions about whatever information we have. But at the same time, if he is an abuser, if he did actually do this, then he deserves it. Like I'm totally 100% on board with canceling Jonathan Majors if he did it.
He's right.
If he did it, I freaking did it with Chris Brown. I had no problem shunning him from my life. I didn't like his music anyway. But
Excuse me, brother.
all right, I liked what was it? Give Me That? Is that what it?
It was like one of his first songs.
Exactly. I like early Chris Brown.
Okay, you know what? So did I. All right.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, I was perfectly fine with once everything came out about what happened with that situation. I was perfectly fine being like, okay, yeah, he's out. I'm done with him. But this is different. We don't have all the information. So
Continue.
I feel like it's not fair to make a judgment call based on what little evidence we have. I mean, there's more evidence. I mean, I'll tell you in a second, but go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, just in regards to the Chris Brown situation, the way that it was presented was that he was just beating her ass. You know what I mean? Like he was just abusing her. No one really heard his side of the story till like maybe years later. And if his side is to be heard, it comes off a little differently. Now, of course, obviously all the damage has been done, and his following behaviors didn't make it any better for him because he became like he started lashing out in public. He started Remember he threw the chair out the window
in the studio, whatever. I think it was like an interview. Yeah, like, that did not help him.
He developed a drug problem. All these other things that added to like, you know, his demise, so to speak, because he's still popular. He's still he's actually still kind of suffering from the Rihanna situation because I think he was trying to do a Michael Jackson tribute like a few months ago, and they were like, yeah, no, because
and I think he
beat up Rihanna 20 years ago.
He even like commented about it. He was just like, yo, why are you guys still like holding me down based on what happened like so long ago or whatever. I remember him saying something like that.
Right. So, you know, the way that he described it was that they got into like an altercation that became physical, as opposed to him just, you know, she's a victim of abuse. Like he's constantly beating her up and yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? That's the way that it seemed from his side of the story. But nonetheless, it's just, you know, the Jonathan Major situation is completely different from that.
What I think didn't help was the pictures of Rihanna's face afterwards.
Exactly.
That's kind of what made everybody just assume that he was just guilty.
And he was just, yeah.
I mean, it could have been something innocent. Not, I don't want to say innocent, but like something as trivial as just like a dispute. They argued and maybe she attacked him. And he pushed her off, something like that. But once you saw the pictures of the damage, there was no defending that. There was no defense for that.
There's no defense for that. And so, you know, he got his just desserts. He got his comeuppance because his career has not been the same. His life has not been the same, and you know, it is what it is.
That's right. So, getting back to the Jonathan Major stuff, so his lawyer spoke up and basically said that there was not only witness testimonies, because it was in a taxi cab or something like that. So there was a camera in there that recorded the whole thing. So yeah, there's video evidence and witness testimonies basically corroborating what happened. So Jonathan Majors called the cops because she was having like an episode and she was like breaking down and crying or whatever, and just like in a state of I don't know what the word is, like just
she was having an episode, basically.
She was having an episode, yeah. And eventually maybe she did press charges at first, but she eventually recanted what she said initially. What he was charged that he got charged with assault. So she basically took it back. It's like, no, that didn't happen. And the lawyer released text messages basically showing what she said. Because I guess after the incident, she went to the hospital. Because I'm assuming there was like some type of physical aspect to this. I don't know if he attacked her or if she was attacking him. He held her back. Like I said with the Chris Brown stuff, we don't know what happened. There's no pictures. All we know is that something happened in that taxi cab. It was recorded, and then she went. Jonathan Majors called the cops. She went to the hospital afterwards. After she got out, she sent him a bunch of texts, or was just like basically saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I told the police this and that. It didn't happen. There was no, because apparently in the original article, they said that he strangled her,
right?
And she was like, no, that absolutely did not happen. And so the thing is, with these texts, and like you said, Twitter being Twitter, they basically took it as, oh, he's an abusive person, and she's
Covering for him
because she's like addicted to it, or he has her under control, or whatever the case may be. So they basically took that as, no, this is more confirmation that he's guilty. And it drove me insane, because like when I read the text, I was like, okay, I can see how you would think that. However, Jonathan Majors is an up-and-coming actor who just debuted, well, I guess he debuted last year, but he just debuted in a major film in Ant-Man, and is now basically becoming the focal point of the entire MCU going forward for the next like 3 or 4 years. So he's gonna be like top level actor, A-lister. Knowing that context, you can also read the text as she's realizing that she fucked up, and she doesn't want to ruin a good thing. Because not to be like not sexist, but like not to be accusatory or make assumptions about her character, but she could be being like, hey, this is my meal ticket. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to mess this up.
I'm glad you said it. Because if I said it, I would have got canceled.
No, I said it. I got into a whole freaking debate on Twitter about this, because like there was this
debating people on Twitter. Why? Why do you do it to yourself?
I know. You're right. I don't know. I enjoy I'm a debater. I like debating. Like, that's just who I am.
You should have been a lawyer.
You know what? I probably could be if I put my mind to it. If I had the money to support years of law school.
I was having a conversation with my friend about this the other day. I was like, yo, you could have been a good lawyer. She was like, thanks. That was the original plan, but even lawyers were like, nah, you don't want this life.
No, I'm sure there's a lot of baggage that comes with that.
Right.
But yeah, so like I was just going back and forth, and I always try to like, and especially with cases like this, like I said, I try to like be impartial. I try to make judgments based on what is provided or what evidence is provided, not what I think happened. Because I can say anything about what I think happened. That doesn't matter. It matters about what is actually presented to me, and that's what I base my opinion on.
It also infuriates me, because I was like, like I said, I'm of the same mind. It was where, okay, the first of all, the memes that came out, hilarious.
Well, that's without a doubt.
Goes without saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no, that's gonna happen.
the memes are glorious. We don't take nothing seriously. But on a serious note,
somebody say, yo, you took that Creed character way too seriously.
So I was watching this. Quick side note: I was watching this video with I don't know if you know who he is. You probably don't. Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's a financial professor. And his wife, Alicia Watkins, she's a therapist. And she was saying how sometimes actors, it's hard for them to break the role, so to speak. Like,
or like method acting.
Right.
Okay.
Right. She says sometimes it's hard for actors to break that role where they're still that character. Like with they brought up Heath Ledger, because apparently I don't know if you noticed, when Jonathan Majors saw The Dark Knight, that's what made him want to get into acting, because of Heath
Really?
Ledger's Joker. Yes.
Okay, I didn't know
And you
that.
know how perfect of a job Heath Ledger did with the role, to the point where it killed him.
It killed him,
You know what I
literally.
mean? So it literally killed him. So, she was saying, like, maybe Jonathan was still in that
Creed,
mentality of,
Kang mindset.
right. So, but even then, it goes without saying that it infuriated me because, like I said, I just want to see if this is true. We've seen too many situations where, like I said, where black men get accused of certain things, and you come to find out, oh no, it's not that at all. Now this brother done lost his life, his career, his everything, all because y'all wanted to jump the gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was in one of these Facebook groups, these black Facebook groups, where obviously the situation came up because, for the culture and this, that, and the third. And one of the admins was like, oh, I'm blocking every comment and deleting every person from the group who says I want to see more evidence. And I was just like,
What?
yeah, like, how do that's, first of all, that's irresponsible of you as an admin. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, of course, as an admin of a Facebook group, you can, approve and decline certain posts, but like, in a situation like this where legal matters are involved, you're clearly going to say, just like, you're going to show your bias and your irresponsibility by shutting down anyone who wants to wait for the situation to resolve before they rush to judgment. And I'm just like, nah, I quit the group, because I'm like, nah, instead of complaining and arguing about it, I'm gonna just leave, because I don't want to be in a group where people think like that. That's disgusting.
yeah, no, that's an abuse of power.
Thank
Like,
you.
and granted, it's like it's a Facebook group, so it's like it's whatever, but it's like still, an admin shouldn't be blatantly biased about that stuff.
Exactly. If it's not breaking the group rules,
Right.
then
Like, you can still have, or whoever, they can still have their opinions, but they shouldn't shut down others just because they don't agree.
just because they don't agree. And that to me is my main issue with cancel culture. Is like, okay, if someone was because what they'll do is they'll dig up stuff from like 20 years ago
Oh,
and try to make it apply to today. I'm like,
yo,
20 years ago, first of all, the world was different. You were a completely different person, and none of this existed. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? The social media didn't exist or it wasn't as prevalent 20 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So if you're gonna, first of all, understand how, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you gotta really be fishing to go
Yep.
dig up something that somebody said 20 years ago and try to apply it to today and be like, oh, this person's a bad person because he said the F word. Like,
That's literally what freaking Kevin Hart goes through like every other year. Because he said that one joke that one time that he apologized for
profusely.
multiple times.
Uh-huh.
He
Took away his
constantly,
Oscar
yeah,
hosting gig. Yep.
he constantly has to relive that. No matter how many times he's apologized for it, no matter how many times he's taken it back, realized that it was a bad joke or that it was not appropriate, whatever. He's done all of that, and still they keep bringing it up, and he's
Uh-huh.
still paying the consequences for it.
Uh-huh.
Which that should go to like show that you really need to be careful what you say, especially when you're a celebrity.
But you see, my thing is, like, one, again, it's 20 years ago.
I
You,
mean,
if
that's also, yeah. There's
it,
no way
it-
you could have told. You could
Come on,
have
20 years ago, we were what, bro? We were 10.
yeah.
We liked Yu-Gi-Oh!
South
And
Park and
you know what I'm
Family
saying?
Guy, The
We like
Simpsons.
that
Yeah,
stuff 20 years ago. Now we're older. We're not the same people. We don't think the same. We don't act the same. We don't hold the same values. Well, some of us, if it's not your core value, then you don't, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
you're a completely different person than you were 20 years ago. So to hold something against me from 20 years ago that none of you really said anything about back then, now you want to bring it up? Come on. That's it. That's stupid. And then on top of that is like, where do we push to, like, what, how do we keep the bounds of, or where do we find the bounds of what's acceptable, or like acceptable criticism, what's accepted as comedy, what's accepted as, or versus genuine hate and genuine bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
because you see, like, we bring up Kevin Hart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since this whole cancel culture movement started, his quality, like his comedy content, his stand-up routine, it's kind of suffered.
Yeah, because he's walking on eggshells.
And who wants to listen to a comedian walk on eggshells? You know what I'm saying? If it's not gonna make me laugh, or at least make me think and laugh at the same time, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your cookie cutter, I'm trying to appease everybody comedy.
Sugar coated, yeah.
Right. I don't want to hear that. No, show me tell me this is why this is why I appreciate Dave Chappelle, because I'm like, okay, he's gonna say something I know is gonna be out of pocket. I know it's gonna be funny. I'm gonna laugh, and he's gonna get in trouble for it, and then we're gonna repeat the cycle.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's honestly what it boils down to is context. And that's in that back and forth that I had on Twitter, I kept reiterating that our judgments have to be based on context, because you can take anything out of context and spin it as something worse than it actually is. So like, I didn't get to, because they stopped responding, but I wanted to use the example. I was like, okay, so let's say I send a text message and say, oh, I want to kill my neighbor. If you take that out of context, that's a death threat. I just threatened to kill my neighbor.
True.
But if I give you the context that, oh, my neighbor's like really annoying, I want to talk to him about it. Like, it's pretty reasonable to like say that kind of thing. But if you don't get that context about me being like joking and stuff like that,
it's not present. It's not taken into consideration.
Exactly. You're gonna think I'm a freaking murderer. Especially if something bad happens to that neighbor.
Especially like if they get into a car accident way on the other side of the city.
Yes, they're gonna look at my text and be like, "Why did you say that?" It's like, you don't have the context. You don't know, and that's the main like idea or ideology. I rather like, you have to have context. You have to know everything before you can make a judgment. And it doesn't help that the media kind of skews one way versus like another. So it's like you said, Jonathan Majors is a black man. So you know that the media is gonna
a white woman.
He assaulted a white woman. A black man. Yeah, a black man assaulted a white woman. You know, it didn't matter who he was. He was getting arrested and getting charged or whatever happened.
I'm telling you,
social media was gonna rag on him.
The tears of a white woman are golden. It's like pure gold to the mass, because it's like, how dare this Negro assault one of our own? First of all, like white, like the white power structure, they don't believe, they think that she's out of place, or he doesn't belong with her in the first place. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Trust me. All those uppers, the upper echelon white men with the power and the money that make decisions, they're looking at it like, this Negro, this hard R is messing with one of our women.
Right.
No, we're not having that. You know what I mean? And now that he's an A-lister celebrity, oh no, we definitely no.
And there were people who were just like, I think it's very strange that the police would make an arrest for something that they didn't have all the information. I was like, listen,
they do it all the time.
He's a black man in New York who apparently who assaulted a white woman. You know damn sure he's gonna get arrested, like, regardless of what happened or if he was innocent or not.
He could have a bullet hole in his chest.
Yes.
If she's holding the gun. If she was crying, he's going to jail. Like, come on, we know the game.
Yes,
we know the game. So it's like, it it bothers me. It really does, because I'm like, you know how I feel about dating white women.
Yeah, I do.
You know how I feel. It goes without saying. But even then, right? If this was a black woman that he beat up, I don't think there would be as much outrage. At
I don't
least
think so
among,
either.
because guess what? The army pulled their ad with
Oh,
him in it,
yeah.
but now they put it back. Now
Oh, they
they're gonna
did?
put they're gonna put it back out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, they're gonna put it back out because all the evidence that you mentioned, it
Hmm.
came out, and they were like, okay, now we're gonna pivot. We basically they got egg on their face now
Yeah. And
because they
see,
know.
that's a tricky situation too, especially for like big companies, because I remember the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, whatever, that
Yeah,
whole situation. When it came to like, oh, do we like keep him on? Like, do we recast? Whatever. Basically, he lost. Johnny Depp lost everything.
sure did. Lost the
Disney dropped
Grindelwald
him.
role.
He
Mm-hmm.
lost the freaking Harry
Grindelwald.
Potter.
Mm-hmm.
He lost everything.
How you fuck up Harry Potter money? Disney money is one thing. That's one thing. Disney is Disney. But Harry Potter money,
You
like,
gotta.
listen, J.K. Rowling is like persona non grata
That's
among Harry Potter fans.
that's
And
fine. I
yet,
didn't even think about that aspect.
like, and they're still printing money from the Wizarding World fortune. She's making money off of it, obviously, because it's her IP.
Yeah,
But it's like, you know how bad you have to screw up to lose Harry Potter money?
you
Like I
gotta
said,
screw up
Disney
like
is
really
a
bad.
separate entity of its own. Disney is in like,
They don't care. They will axe you the second they get any whiff of controversy.
Mickey Mouse dollars is legal tender.
It might as well be Disney dollars.
You know what I'm saying? Disney dollars is legal tender. Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes.
you see pretend?
Yes. Edit that out.
I will.
Obviously. Disney dollars is legal tender. So it's like, anything that you can like if you screw up Harry Potter money, it's slow for you because ain't no way they're gonna bring you back. Disney can find a way to bring you back. Harry Potter money,
They freaking what was his name? Oh, James Gunn. That whole situation where he made a joke, the director for Guardians of the Galaxy,
yes.
he made a joke years ago relating to like kids or something to that effect, where I can't remember the joke, but anyway, it was in poor taste, obviously, but we, like you said before, like it was a different time, different mindset, different standards, all of that. So it's like you can't hold people accountable for what they've already done in the past. They can only repent, and they can only reconcile whatever, semblance of like morality they have today. But
You make a change. You
exactly,
gotta give people a chance to change. You know what I mean?
exactly.
You gotta be graceful because you want the same grace that you're not giving. If
Yes.
you have to give the same kind of grace for people to realize, yeah, you know what, that was kind of cruel and messed up back in the day. I shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You shouldn't just shun them off into the wind and be like, we're not dealing with you no more.
Right. But that's also the problem with like Twitter and social media in general, that like everything's always like in a bubble. And if it didn't happen within like the last month, it didn't happen. So that so if like for the James Gunn thing, like if he's apologized, he's same thing with like Kevin Hart, he's apologized for it. He's moved on. And if people don't know or are not aware that he did that, they're gonna make him do it again, because like they're too lazy to look it up or to do their due diligence.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
To make sure, like, oh, if they see something that he did, they're not gonna look up if he apologized for it. They're just gonna look at what he did and call him out for it, and then that leads to the whole thing of him having to do it again and again and again, because People are so short minded or
short-sighted.
Short-sighted that they just can't be bothered to do their own research. It's just reactionary. And that's honestly the key of it. It's all about reaction. You got to get that first reaction because you want people to see it. You want people to know how you feel, which is so fucking stupid.
And one aspect of cancel culture that I want to address is that I kind of mentioned it earlier where I was like, where do we draw the line between like cultural criticisms and genuine hate? Because I'm like, there've been plenty of times where I felt that some people have been canceled over something that was said, particularly about certain communities and certain people that I'm just like, this seems more like a genuine criticism or a question rather than, oh, we hate you. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't be allowed to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when you talk about certain people, like let's say Jewish people or LGBT or even black people, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, okay, this seems like more like a criticism rather than hate. And where do we draw that line? If I say something like, oh, LGBTQ people are bullies, which has been said. I remember D.L. Hughley said that once. He was like, yo, you guys are being bullies right now. And everybody was like, oh, you hate, you're anti-gay and this, that, and the third, yada, yada. And he was just like, no, I'm really trying to figure out, like, how do you get all the power in this situation to determine what's right and what's wrong?
That's another aspect of this whole thing that, like, especially if you're in a group,
an oppressed group, a minority group.
An oppressed group or a minority group that you can't be touched. You're
infallible.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. There's no wrong you could possibly do.
Right.
And I think that's not the right way to handle things. You have to take each individual as an individual.
Thank you.
If somebody says something bad, they said something bad. It's not because they were black. It's not because they were gay. It's not because of whatever. They said it. So you have to judge them by what they said. And given the context of what they said, So It's like, and then just because people have questions about it or making an observation, that doesn't mean they're shunning the entire group that they're talking about.
Exactly.
It's just they're talking about that one person or what they've noticed. It should be looked at as a teaching moment rather than a criticism moment.
It kind of reminds me of that meme I sent y'all with the non-binary thing in the chat. Did you get a look at it?
The Spider-Man one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, I legitimately didn't ask.
Right.
So that comes off as hate. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't care what you are.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people tend to misconstrue hate with
indifference.
Indifference, exactly. So the fact that, like, I don't care what you guys do, whatever, and then they'd be like, oh, why you hate these people? So it's like, no, that's not what I said. That's like there's this tweet where it's like, they say, oh, I like pancakes, and then someone comments saying, oh, what, you don't like waffle? Why you hate waffles? It's like, no, I didn't say I hate waffles.
I remember that.
That's a whole different sentence.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And it's interesting because one thing that I always felt like in regards to this, it's all in the context of cancel culture anyway, but it was like the way that you might feel about one particular person of a said community does not mean that you feel that way about the entire community itself.
1000%.
You know what I mean? It was like, because, we go back to the Chris Rock thing. Everyone was saying like, oh, because of the things that he said about Jada, he was like, oh, he hates black women and this, that, and the third. And it was like, wait, where did that come from? How do you figure that he had a problem with one particular black woman who's at the center of this entire controversy surrounding him and Will Smith? She's really at the center of it all. And because he feels a certain way about her participation in it and criticize her over it, now all of a sudden he hates all black women. I'm like, I don't get that at all.
That's
I don't
like
understand it.
A rash judgment, and that's like I said, people are just quick to make an opinion, make a judgment because they want everybody to know how they think. Doesn't matter what's out there. Doesn't matter what evidence they have. They want to know. They want people to know. I don't like this guy or I don't like this girl. That's it.
And you shouldn't either.
You shouldn't either. Oh my God. Like, that's the thing. Like, that gets me so pissed off. It's like, you can have your opinion. I can have my opinion. I'm not going to try and convince you of anything. I just want you to do your due diligence to make an informed opinion. Don't just make an opinion just to make it. And especially don't try and convince others just because you want that confirmation bias.
Exactly. You think cancel culture is going anywhere?
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, it's here to stay. Like I said in the beginning, it can be used for good. Like Harvey Weinstein?
Yes.
That whole thing. I mean, that whole Me Too movement, that's cancel culture. If there's actual people who are doing nefarious things, predators, abusers, anything, I'm all 100% for it, but it has to be proven. You can't just say things and expect people to believe them.
Exactly.
Because that I feel like that's kind of like the trend, and I've seen it. I mean, it's really hard to talk about this without trying to like make absolute statements, because there's like people who would say when a girl or a woman says that she's been abused, believe all women. And I'm just like,
no. I'll say no. No.
You can't. Like, you can't.
No, that's a wrong stance to take.
I don't know. Do you know Star Wars? That's what the Sith do. They deal in absolutes. You do not want to deal in absolutes.
Everything's got to be nuance.
Exactly. There's always nuance. There's always gray area. That's where you want to be in. You want to have an open mind to either side, because not everything is black and white. Not everything is binary. There's some wrong. There's some right. There's some in the middle. Like, there's situations where people can be right doing wrong things and vice versa. So it's like, it has to be nuanced. You have to be more open-minded about how you view things, because you can't be, oh, if I'm not this, I'm this. Like, that's not how the world works.
Nope.
So.
Nope, definitely not. So it's like, you know, the whole believe all women thing, when I heard it, I kind of wanted to believe it, because I'm like, you know, generally speaking, overwhelmingly, women, if a woman is sexually assaulted, or, you know, the R word, most of the time she's not lying, and she's not going to, you know, it's even hard for them to say that this happened.
Right.
You know, a lot of these situations go unreported. But there's been enough situations, and some certainly egregious situations, where her lying has caused like some major damage.
Wasn't there a recent case where a black man, go figure, was like incarcerated for like years?
It happens all the time.
20-something years, and then they found out that it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And they just let him go.
Yeah. And no repercussions, no nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's how the whole Emmett Till situation came about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And guess what? That sparked the civil rights movement. The Emmett Till killings sparked the civil rights movement. And what's even crazier is, not only did the guys who killed him, like maybe like the next day after the verdict dropped, they said, oh, yeah, we know. Yeah, we killed him. Yeah, we killed him. Straight up admitted it. But because of double jeopardy, they couldn't be tried again. And then, like, what, 5-6 years ago, the woman who accused him, she was like, yeah, he never did anything. And yet, no repercussions. So that's why I'm like, it's a gray area.
It is a gray area.
Very gray.
I feel like whenever there's a situation that warrants further investigation, especially like when a woman accuses somebody of like sexual assault or whatever, it's okay to be skeptical.
It's okay. You have to take it seriously, though.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to take it seriously.
Don't take it seriously.
Don't like, cast aside that person's feelings or experience, whatever. Be accommodating, but have an open mind that it could go either way. You need more evidence, you need more context. That's what it ultimately boils down to. I want to keep bashing people over the head with it. You need context. Context is key. That's the saying, right? Context is key. So,
was there alcohol involved? Were they both drinking? Were they both drunk? You know what I'm saying? Like, these questions have to be asked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about in reference to like Jonathan Majors, because it's the whole situation that we're talking about.
Right.
We all don't know what happened, so it's okay for us to be like, yo, let's just wait and see how this plays out, because we know that, you know, if he, again, part of the context is he's a black man, she is a white woman. We've seen how these things play out before. So we need more before we can just jump to say, oh, he's abusive. And guess what? Like I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And if it, like you keep saying, if it's found out that yes, he actually abused this woman and is beating on her, then yes, lock him up. Yes.
Yeah.
We're okay with canceling him after that.
But we need to have an informed opinion about it. And
that's what we're saying.
Sure, I was gonna say something. I lost my train of thought. I don't know. That'll come back to me maybe.
Listen, man. I don't think cancel culture is going anywhere either, because social media gives people who don't need a voice, it gives them one.
Yes, it does. And then what I was gonna say is that a lot of people on social media, they practice the law basically backwards. Is guilty until proven innocent. They like to, for whatever reason, to believe the worst in people before they believe that this person might be innocent.
The court of public opinion.
The court of public opinion is backwards. So it's like, they did this, you got to show me that they didn't do it. And it's just like, I feel like that's not the way you should go about things.
Backwards. And it's messed up, because it's like, you can be, obviously, like we just said, you'll be convicted in a court of public opinion. You can be acquitted in a court of law, but you'll still be guilty in a court of a public opinion.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. So many people have already made up their mind about Jonathan Majors that he might be already guilty, just like you said, in the court of public opinion, that his career might be done anyway. Even if he's 100% innocent, the video corroborated the reports and the witness testimonies, whatever. He could be 1,000% innocent, but because people already have that mentality, it's like, oh, he might be an abuser. That's it.
It's over for him.
It's over for him.
And it's gonna suffer.
It's gonna take years for him to bounce back from this. That's the sad part. Even with all like evidence that could be provided to maintain his innocence. But either way, it's a really like messy situation.
Yeah, I hope he leaves her.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, because I don't know their relationship. I don't know
he leaves her.
Their dynamic.
That relationship is irreparable after this. Like, the cops got involved, and I've been arrested. I had to spend the night in a New York jail. And my career's about to take a major hit.
Is in jeopardy. Go. Yeah,
you gotta go.
And that's the thing too. It's just crazy. The one guy, like I said before, they're building the entire
next phase of the MCU around him.
Few phases around this one guy, and then this happens. It's like
it's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. Yeah, it might be. Honestly,
I wouldn't put it past him. Honestly. Listen, we gave y'all Chadwick and he croaked, okay? You ain't getting another one.
We tried, and
he couldn't last.
He couldn't handle.
He couldn't hang no more. Okay?
His body gave out on him. No, that's so fucked up. Why'd I say that?
It is, but it's the truth.
Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman.
They gave us Chadwick, and unfortunately, Chadwick couldn't make it. Not his fault. It's just genetics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Genetics played a factor. Now y'all got Kang. You ain't got Kang no more.
No, we still got Kang. We just don't know if we got Jonathan. That's what we're discussing. Well, I guess what people are discussing. And then that's another thing too. People were just like, we're being concerned about the wrong thing. And I was just like, okay, people are able to be concerned about multiple things at once. We can be concerned about the situation at hand. We can also think about what's gonna happen to like
afterwards.
Afterwards, the MCU. Like, are they gonna recast? Humans are capable of worrying about multiple things at once. Like, it's okay.
It's okay. We can do this. We can walk and chew gum.
Right, exactly. It's just funny how people try to like paint it as like, oh, you guys are just more concerned about the MCU. It's like, no, I mean, that's one of our concerns. It doesn't have to be the number one. It could be number 3, number 4. So, I don't know. People are funny. Anywho.
Unfortunately, I do have a grind my gears rant, but it's gonna have to wait until next week.
I was gonna say this whole episode was a grinding my gears.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
we'll wait till next week when Tay is here.
Yeah, because I want him to hear this. I want him to hear this too. So
sounds good.
All right.
You want to send us off, or you want me to do?
Follow us on our socials. The links are in the video, as you can see. The Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook. You're watching this on YouTube. The Brother Tay got a website coming too, right? We get a website coming.
I still have to send him my bio. I still have not.
I don't know what to write, honestly.
I don't know. I was thinking about it too. I was trying to like think of like, okay, well, how do I describe it? I've never had to do this before outside of like a resume, but in the resume, I freaking bullshit that shit anyway. But
same.
To write a bio for a website is kind of hard.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I want to read his. That way I know what.
Yeah, I feel like we need to read his so that way we can kind of get like a guideline,
right, of
how to make ours sound similar.
But yeah, y'all see, we big things are going around here. You know what I mean? We got the website coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. How do y'all feel about cancel culture? Do you like it? Are you a participant? Have you been canceled before? You know what I mean?
That'd be interesting.
Talk to us. Hit us up on one of our socials. Holla at us. Email us. I read the emails. I read the Instagram posts. Facebook, not so much. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more active on it. So, peace, love, soul, all that good stuff.
See ya.
I'll later.